2 years ago, AI-generated video looked like a novelty. Interesting? Absolutely. A genuine threat to cinema? Hardly. It looked like technology reaching for something it simply couldn't yet achieve. And then, something shifted, shockingly fast. Within what felt like a blink, AI moved from still images to video to movement that stopped looking broken to performances that stopped feeling entirely synthetic, and now, moments that carry something genuinely startling. Expressions, gestures, micro behaviors that begin to echo the rhythms of real human performance. They're not flawless. They're not truly indistinguishable from an actor, but they are convincing enough to trigger a new kind of reaction. And that reaction is, wait, that was AI? Because exponential curves have a peculiar nature. They appear manageable, right up until they turn vertical. There's another force quietly guaranteeing that this acceleration won't slow. Money. Billions of dollars. Corporate competition. Nation-scale initiatives. Possibly trillions over time. History offers a consistent lesson here. When that scale of capital converges with a technology, progress doesn't move in straight lines. It compounds relentlessly. Film and visual storytelling aren't observing this transformation from a distance. They're being pulled directly into it. Hollywood isn't steering the wave, it's riding it. At the same time, another pressure has been building. Audience disillusionment. Not from nowhere, but from experience. We've all seen films with staggering budgets and extraordinary visual effects generate reactions that were surprisingly conflicted. Consider titles like Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, Thor, Love and Thunder, The Marvels, films overflowing with spectacle, yet frequently described by viewers as overwhelming but not moving, visually impressive but emotionally thin, entertaining yet strangely forgettable. And that distinction matters because audiences don't remember resolution, visual density, or how much money a film cost. They remember how it made them feel. Compare that to the cultural aftershock of films like Terminator 2, Jurassic Park, The Matrix. Movies that didn't just dazzle, they lingered. Spectacle worked in harmony with story, with character, with emotional precision, which leads to one of the most persistent misconceptions about blockbuster filmmaking. That scale guarantees impact. It doesn't. Cinema history is filled with enormously expensive productions that struggled critically or commercially despite breathtaking resources. Justice League 2017 became one of the clearest modern examples. Hundreds of millions of dollars spent, massive visual effects, enormous production scale. Yet the theatrical release was not truly Zack Snyder's completed film. Following Snyder's departure, significant portions were rewritten, restructured, and reshot. Character arcs were compressed, tonality shifted, and some of the most compelling material never reached the screen. Then came something extraordinary, Zack Snyder's Justice League. Not merely an alternate edit, but a restoration. A triumph of creative authorship. Vast amounts of unseen footage returned. Narrative spaces expanded. Characters deepened. Cyborg, once reduced, emerged as the emotional backbone. The Flash gained vulnerability and dimension. Moments breathed. Weight returned. The difference had little to do with budget. It had everything to do with vision, with coherence, with spectacle finally serving the story. Because spectacle alone has never guaranteed resonance. Not in 4K, not at $200 million, not even with unlimited CGI. Tools have never guaranteed quality. A camera can produce mediocrity. CGI can overwhelm without meaning. Editing software can amplify weak storytelling. The tool itself is neutral. The outcome depends on judgment, on human taste, and intention. AI now enters this equation as a profoundly disruptive instrument. AI generates endlessly variations, styles, possibilities, but generation alone is not creation. Creation lives in selection, rejection of ideas that don't match the taste. AI can propose images, but it cannot determine which images matter, which moments resonate, which choices serve meaning. That responsibility remains stubbornly, beautifully human. And something important deserves acknowledgement. Visual artists, CGI animators, visual effects designers, digital craftsmen are extraordinary. Their skill is staggering. But creativity has never belonged exclusively to visual execution specialists. Some artists render, some animate, some sculpt, and some imagine. Writers, storytellers, filmmakers inhabit worlds long before they're visualized. The ideas are born there. What AI changes is the collapsing distance between imagination and visualization. A writer no longer needs an entire effects pipeline to glimpse fragments of their vision. Visual mastery remains extraordinary, but imagination has always been universal. For decades, imagination negotiated with limitation, with budget ceilings, with technical barriers, institutional gatekeeping. Entire worlds were left unbuilt, not because they lacked creative worth, but because they lacked financial permission. And this is where the conversation becomes personal for me. I've written screenplays that won awards, stories validated creatively, yet rendered impossible economically. And this isn't just theoretical for me. I also directed a short film, Lovebound, which was fortunate enough to receive festival awards. Not a massive production, not a studio film, but first-hand experience with how brutally real the constraints of budget, time, and resources actually are. AI changes that equation. Suddenly, imagination is no longer completely hostage to logistics. And then comes a remarkable signal from the summit of cinema itself, James Cameron, a filmmaker synonymous with pushing technology and commanding colossal budgets. A visionary who didn't use AI for a single frame of his latest or any Avatar film to date. Yet he openly acknowledges AI's likely role in reducing production costs for the future. Think about the significance of that. Cameron isn't speculating from the sidelines. He's responding to the same economic pressures reshaping the entire industry. Budgets soaring higher, returns growing less predictable, risk tolerance tightening. For filmmakers at every level, efficiency is no longer a luxury, it's becoming a necessity. Another myth suggests audiences demand flawless visuals above all else. But history tells a different story. Black and white television, VHS, early CGI, rough digital effects. Audiences embrace them because viewers ultimately prioritize their experience of the event, emotion, engagement. Perfection is seductive, but connection is decisive, and audiences will connect with what emotionally resonates. And yet, even as AI democratizes creation, attention remains. Cinema has always been shaped by two forms of power: who can make something and who can make sure it gets seen. AI lowers barriers to production. It does not automatically equalize marketing budgets, distribution networks, or visibility. Attention remains concentrated. Amplification remains strategic. So here we stand, inside a convergence that feels almost surreal, technology accelerating faster than many are comfortable with, investment guaranteeing relentless refinement, economic pressures reshaping filmmaking strategies, writers glimpsing worlds once trapped in imagination, visionary directors acknowledging structural change, and audiences still, stubbornly, passionately, craving great stories. For most of cinema's history, imagination was filtered through economics. That filter is beginning to fracture, not vanish, not disappear overnight, but crack. And inside those cracks, there is something undeniably electric: because the future of filmmaking may no longer belong exclusively to those with the deepest pockets, but increasingly to those with the strongest vision. AI will not define great cinema, but it may unlock who gets the chance to attempt it. And that is where things become genuinely thrilling. This is Deck Weber. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe for more conversations about movies and the future of cinema. Thanks for watching, and keep loving movies.